Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you today about the Sagittarius new moon that takes place on November 23rd. I'm actually I don't want to say excited, but I'm actually really happy with the overall energy surrounding the new moon in Sagittarius and Sagittarius season in general. Now, of course, as always, it's a mixed bag. There's definitely going to be highs and lows, ups and downs. November has definitely been a roller coaster of a month energetically. We have now shifted from the water of Scorpio season, the intensity of Scorpio season, which, like I say, always serves its purpose. Every season serves its purpose, right? And now we're moving into full-on fire, Sagittarius. So November the 16th, Venus moved into Sagittarius, the planet of connection. And then on the 17th, Mercury, the planet of communication, moved into Sagittarius. And then on November 22nd, today's actually November 20th, and I'm recording this video. November 22nd, the sun will move into Sagittarius. And then we are officially in Sagittarius season. So happy birthday to all of our Sagittarius folks out there. I hope you have a wonderful season. We are now moving into mutable energy, okay, the modality of mutable. And mutable energy has a lot of good to it because it can make us very active, right? There's a reason that Sagittarius season starts off holiday season, right? We get more active. Sagittarius is the sign of travel, long distance travel. We often travel for the holidays, right? We start this off. Sagittarius, again, the traveler, the wanderer, the free spirit. So the energy tends to lighten up a little bit when we move into Sagittarius season. Overall, every year this typically happens. And again, of course, what other astrology is occurring around these times is going to enhance this, impact it differently. But we are moving into mutable energy, and mutable energy can also feel scattered. It can also feel very overwhelming. We are also dealing with Mars retrograde, okay, all the way through January. And Mars retrograde in Gemini, which is mutable air, and we're dealing with Neptune in Pisces, and Pisces is mutable water. And we've got Mars and Neptune right now, as I'm recording this, squaring each other, which is a frictional aspect. And it can definitely have us feeling more overwhelmed, more exhausted, more anxious than normal. So just make sure that you are taking time to rest, right? You're resting your body, you're resting your soul, you're resting your mind, you're resting it all, because we can spin out under this energy. We can get very scattered, okay? That's the downside to the mutability. It is good and it serves its purpose to get us moving, but it can also spin us out and have us fall flat on our face. So just take care of yourself, monitor your energy levels. You know your body best. All right, so we've got a lot going on. Let's talk about this new moon in Sagittarius. It takes place on November 23rd, Wednesday, November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving here in the US, around 5:57 p.m. Eastern Time. And it takes place at 1 degree and 37 minutes. And I'm gonna pull the chart up in just a couple of moments here. But what I really, really like is that this is the first new moon after the eclipses. And so let me just be clear, we are still feeling the eclipse energy, okay? It's not just done with us, it's not totally gone, but we have a little bit of a reprieve and we can feel some goodness settling back in. We can see some results actually beginning to manifest for us in our realities. And this is the first new moon of, I think there's 4 more. I looked it up, I can't remember. The next 4 new moons, including this one, are at the 1st degree. Now this is significant because the 1st degree is the very beginning. 1 is all about manifestation. It's fresh, it's a clean slate, it's possibility and potential. And new moons in and of themselves are the beginning of the lunar cycle, and they are all about new beginnings, fresh possibility and potential. So this does carry with it a little bit of, let's talk Disney, a little bit of pixie dust, right? A little bit of magic. Now, furthering that sentiment, Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, okay? Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. It's the gas giant, the great gas giant. It's also considered to be a benefic, which means, obviously it's beneficial for us. It's a spiritual planet. It's a social planet. Jupiter tends to magnify things, okay? For better or worse, but we're gonna go with better here. Jupiter lends to compassion, good sportsmanship, good fellowship. And I'm bringing this up because Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon, as Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So there's a big Jupiter vibe, Jupiterian vibe going on with this new moon. Okay, now aside from the fact that Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon, Jupiter is also placed nicely right now. Jupiter, at the time of this new moon, is about to station direct in the sign of Pisces, okay? Now, Jupiter is also the ruler of Pisces. Now, traditionally, Jupiter was the ruler of Pisces. Modern day, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, okay? So Jupiter is the co-ruler of Pisces. Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, which means that Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Pisces. So now Jupiter is also conjunct Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces, okay? So Jupiter is working nicely with Neptune in Pisces. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, okay? Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So again, here we go with this bigger, larger than life Jupiterian theme. So it's important that around this new moon, we believe in the goodness of humanity and that we have faith. These are things that Jupiter tries to teach us. This is what Sagittarius tries to show us by the way of truth, okay? Sagittarius is the sign of truth and freedom. It's always seeking higher ground, higher mindset, and it's all about faith and belief. Also expansion and optimism and hope. Now, even more significantly, Jupiter is going to station direct right after, like literally minutes after the new moon in Sagittarius, okay? So we've got the new moon taking place exactly at 5:57 p.m. Eastern time, and then at 6:03 p.m. to be exact Eastern, Jupiter will station direct in Pisces. Now here's the thing. When the planets are getting ready to station, and we talked about this many times, when the planets are getting ready to station, they are at the height of their power. So right before the new moon, Jupiter's getting ready to station direct. So this is really nice because the Jupiterian goodness is going to be even that much more felt. Now remember, everything has its shadow side, okay? So Jupiter could also lend to expanding the less than stellar things that we deal with, and we want to watch out for that as well. But really, this is more about like looking at the lessons through the blessings. Now I want you to think back to when Jupiter first entered Pisces back in May of 2021. And you don't have to do that right now, but especially if you journal, go back and think about where you were in your reality. What was going on for you? If you know how to pull up your chart and look to where Jupiter is transiting or was transiting when it first entered Pisces, because it may have shifted a little bit, go and check your chart and see that to go one step further. And then that'll kind of bring you down into the area in which Jupiter was giving you some extra doses of blessings, some extra doses of pixie dust. Jupiter was in Pisces from May of 2021 until May of 2022. And then Jupiter moved into Aries, and then Jupiter stationed retrograde in July, and then it moved back into Pisces, and it is still in Pisces, and it will remain in Pisces until December. And then it's going to move back into Aries, right at the heels of the winter solstice. That'll be a whole nother reading that we're going to talk about. Totally different energy. But right now, let's focus on what have been the blessings in the lessons while Jupiter was in Pisces for you. What did that reveal to you? It's time to really and truly integrate those lessons. And now the thing about Jupiter is that it most certainly can bestow unexpected blessings into our lives. But like I always say, we have to take the steps, right? We have to have faith. We have to believe in something greater than ourselves in order to receive all of the Jupiterian wisdom and blessings. So there's a little bit of woo-woo there and a little bit of wisdom, but both are coexisting here. So again, I just feel like there's an overall feel-good energy to this new moon. But let us also not forget that any toxicity that is still surrounding us, inside and outside of us, can also feel bigger under these energies. So we have to do what we can do to make our own magic, right? To find our own freedom, to be in our own light, to extend gratitude and graciousness toward others. That is what makes these times feel smoother. Okay, one more thing and then we'll get to the chart. I wanted to read to you the Sabian symbol for the new moon in Sagittarius, okay? So with Sabian symbols, what we do is we always round up. So this is 1 degree and 37 minutes of Sagittarius. So we're going to read the Sabian symbol for 2 degrees of Sagittarius, okay? Just feel these words, see if they resonate with you for the times that we are under. By the way, obviously if I'm reading this to you, I feel like it resonates. I don't always feel that they are very impactful for each lunar cycle, but this one I did feel so. Okay, the Sabian symbol is the ocean covered with white caps. This is a symbol of the unending availability of everything ever needed for life and experience, emphasized subjectively through the tireless anticipations of the human soul. Implicit in the symbolism is the necessity for giving direction to the restlessness of an overall consciousness in which man's immortal being is cradled, and for channeling this into a manifestation of personal energy. The individual prospers as he is self-quickened to his own potentialities. The key word is irrepressibility. When positive, the degree is an indomitable resourcefulness and a naive delight in the problems of everyday living, and when negative, pointless irritability and nervous self-exhaustion. That line right there, pointless irritability and nervous self-exhaustion, that speaks a lot to mutable energy in general, like I mentioned earlier, about that feeling of like, we need to slow down sometimes and calm down and make sure that we're seeing the bigger picture, which is also very Jupiter, bigger picture. Because when we don't do that, that's when we feel really scattered, okay? And if you have a lot of mutable energy, a lot of mutable planets and placements in your chart, you will understand that feeling of high energy and then just feeling like if you don't take a moment, you're gonna spin out, right? Eventually, the fire will burn out. And taking this energy and manifesting it into your personal energy will really go a long way. Because again, Jupiter does like to gift us blessings, but we have to open the door. Okay, let's get to the chart. All right, here we have our Sagittarius new moon, November 23rd, 2022, 5:57 p.m. Eastern time, okay? And if you were gonna look at this chart, you can just set it to your location, but the aspects are the aspects, okay? So here we have our new moon. The sun and the moon are conjunct each other, aligned at 1 degree and 37 minutes of Sagittarius. And there is a loose conjunction to both Venus and Mars in Sagittarius, which is helpful, which is nice, which is cohesive. The only downside to Mercury in Sag, let's say, is that we can be a little too fast or too quick-witted with our words and our thoughts and our actions, too hasty. So, because it's fire, right? So Mercury and fire can sometimes be a lot. So we just want to make sure that we're really thinking things through and not getting too big for our britches. Because again, Jupiter can magnify, Jupiter can expand, okay? And Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which means that, Jupiter's a power player. Have I mentioned that? Have I mentioned that Jupiter's a power player at this new moon? So we see up here, Jupiter still retrograde, but just about to station direct. So the powers of Jupiter are magnified. Jupiter is lined up with Neptune here in Pisces, and this brings in hope and possibility and psychic awareness and our increased intuition, spirituality, compassion. It's just overall a sweet aspect. Now, I will give the shadow energy here, which is if you or somebody you know are struggling with addiction, this time period could prove to be very rough. So again, if this is you, please reach out to those that you need to help you get through the rough patch. If it's somebody you love, please reach out to them, because just know that they're likely going to be getting really poked at under these energies, okay? And also, I have to mention, this is cold and flu season. There are still viruses and such going around. It has not stopped. So again, expansion, right? Neptune is receptive. Pisces is receptive. Jupiter magnifies things. People are traveling, maybe feeling a little bit too easy breezy, okay? So just remember, stay vigilant and stay aware every step of the way to avoid any mishaps with your health and your wealth. Now with this Mercury-Venus conjunction over here in Sagittarius, this is all about hope and possibility, and hope and possibility for the future, especially since it's widely conjunct the sun. So this is letting us know that the magic is there. We just have to believe in something better. Now we're still dealing with Saturn over here at 19 degrees of Aquarius, squaring Uranus over here at 16 of Taurus. They are separating, but we're still within 4 degrees. So it's still an aspect that we're feeling. And this has been a tense aspect of restriction and limitation and frustration. It is starting to lift, but it is still present. So Saturn might still remind us where we can't quite move 100% forward just yet. But again, new beginnings are imminent. And this Jupiter trine to the new moon, to the sun and the moon, is just lovely. Jupiter is shining down his divine light to the sun and to the moon. Jupiter is divinely supporting the sun and the moon, guiding us. This is really nice energy. If ever you were going to do a manifestation ritual, I highly suggest doing one around this new moon, because like I said, it's the first of 5, that's at the 1st degree. It's the first new moon out of the eclipses. It's got all of this Jupiter energy. And again, just be careful what you wish for, right? Because you just might get it all. Okay, now that is speaking on the more personal level. But let's go a little deeper here. Well, let's talk about Mars. Mars is not in the best position. Mars is retrograde in Gemini. We've talked about this a lot. Mars in Gemini is like, words, information overload. Mars retrograde makes that even stronger. Mars rules over our energy levels, okay? And so our energy levels are all over the place. We're all feeling exhausted, up and down, highs and lows, even stronger if you've got strong Gemini in your chart and strong mutable energy, which is Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. So, mutable energy here. Mars is a little out of control right now, but Helping to soften that would be the fact that Mars it's making a biquintile to Pluto, okay? Now, I normally only look at biquintiles when I do personal chart readings, but I wanted to throw it in here because biquintiles can be kind of helpful. They can also be kind of funky, but they can also be kind of helpful. So there's something here about, like digging deep within to get the answers that we seek. Because when you go to the outside, there could be a lot of misinformation and confusion right now. That is enhanced. So this is about using the inner wisdom, the body wisdom, the intuition to help to guide you. But you may have to sift through some unpleasant emotions to get to it. Now, Mars is also in a harsh aspect to Ceres over here. Ceres is here at 22 degrees of Virgo, squaring Mars retrograde in Gemini at 21. Now, Ceres is the goddess of crops and grains and agriculture. She's also the great earth mother. She's fertility. She's abundance. So when we're dealing with a square, we're dealing with tension. We're dealing with Mars, the planet of action, retrograde in the planet of communication, words, that's Gemini. So there may be a lot of information that comes out around the Ceres domain, such as crops, grains, agriculture. We know already that we are still dealing with shortages in specific areas and with specific items, specific grains, specific crops. So there's likely going to be more information about that as we move throughout the holiday season. But here's the kicker. What's fact and what's fiction? What's being overblown? Jupiter. Again, drop in, body wisdom, figure it out, and then do what's right for you. Now also, furthering this with the Mars and Ceres square, both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by the planet Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication and information. So it's heightening the likelihood of the information and potentially even some misinformation that might be coming out. Okay, and there's also a really strong emphasis around this new moon about finding our place, finding our home, finding our hearth, finding what's truly comfortable for us and right for us and good for us. There's something here about not being able to stay in the old energies any longer because the new is trying to emerge. And so for all of us, it might be about where we've been clinging, where we've been hanging on out of fear of loss or control or whatever the case may be. It's becoming that much more evident and has been highly accelerated the past couple of years and more apparent. So this is definitely going to be more of that energy about what feels right, what feels good. It's going to be super important. Vesta, who was right up here at 0 degrees and 51 minutes of Pisces at the time of this new moon, Vesta has now just entered Pisces as of November 20th. And Pisces is the sign about, feeling good. It wants us to feel good. It wants us to, feel emotionally fulfilled. Vesta, again, is the goddess of home and hearth, and she's all about like what we burn for, the eternal flame. That's Vesta. It's what we burn for. It's what is sacred to us. And so that's also going to start to become very, very evident around these next couple of months. So pay really close attention to the people and the energies and the situations that feel good because it's in Pisces, and Pisces is very intuitive. Pisces is very in tune to the subtleties. It's not always going to be on the surface and in your face. It's going to be, again, about the body wisdom, dropping in and feeling everything. We're much more sensitive, all of us, much more tuned in. We all have intuition, but we don't always follow it. And again, in the ways which we are not following it are going to become much more magnified under these energies. And then we have Pallas Athena over here at 26 degrees and 18 minutes of Cancer. And Pallas is in an opposition to Pluto in Capricorn over here at 26:37, almost exact opposition. Oppositional energies are duking it out, okay? Pallas is the goddess of war and wisdom. We still have Eris over here at 24 degrees of Aries, squaring Pluto over here at 26. And we bring Pallas into this mix, the goddess of wisdom. Lots of feminine energy and lots of mutable energy. So we can hear a lot of chatter around feminine rights. We've already, we've been there. It's probably going to likely come up even more. Let's not forget Sagittarius is also one of the signs, also with Libra, that deals with legal. It deals with truth, it deals with justice, it deals with the law, it deals with legal. So again, something here around feminism, something here around feminine rights could come up very, very big headlines on the world scale. But there's also something here about doing things differently and being more clever and things being different and taking a different direction. Again, we've got 7 planets here. We've got a lot of mutable energy. We've got the sun and the moon in Sagittarius. We've got Venus and Mars over here in Sagittarius. We've got both Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. And we have Mars over here in Gemini. So this is mutable energy. Again, this is changeable. In a moment's notice, the wind blows and things shift. So yeah, it's like shaking the tree and everything starts to fall out. That's kind of what this energy feels like, but we're going to keep it on the side of positivity because of the planets and say, you know what? Yeah, it might be a mixed bag of nuts, but there's going to be some goodness in there. And again, we have to reach for it when it comes in. We have to follow our wisdom. We have to follow our soul. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Pallas Athene, the fighter here, the goddess of war and wisdom, let's not forget, very intuitive she is, this asteroid, very intuitive. She's also going to station retrograde on November 30th. So again, another planet here, even though she's an asteroid, she's going to station retrograde very close to this new moon, which means her energies are heightened. Her energies are more powerful. She wants truth. She wants clarity. She wants freedom. This is personal, yes, and collective. So again, overall, I do feel that there's a lot of positive energy surrounding this new moon. This is a good time for new beginnings. So definitely if you wanted to do a manifestation ritual, go for it. I think it will be very helpful. Focus on what you want to bring in. Focus on what you want to attract. Focus on the goodness. Have gratitude. Have grace. Focus on what you've got around you, especially as we're coming upon Thanksgiving here in the US. And it is a time of graciousness and gratitude and to give thanks for all that we have. And yeah, of course, there are a lot of things that we are grieving for, that we are sad for. And for everybody, that's very different. That's very personal. And that's why it's important to try and bring in a gratitude ritual to your daily life. I actually have a prayer box, and you can get them on Amazon, by the way. I'll link it below. But I have a prayer box. I actually have 3 of them. Every morning when I wake up, I write down what I'm grateful for. And then every night before I go to bed, I write down one good thing that happened that day. I do this all the time. It's a ritual for me. I love ritual because it keeps me in check, keeps my mind, body, and spirit in balance as much as possible. And it just feels good. And it's always important to remind ourselves of those little things that we often take for granted, like running water, for example, a roof over our heads, a family member that checks in with us, a child that adores us, right? Like these things that we sometimes tend to overlook because they're just second nature to us. It just helps to keep things in check. Just knowing that there's always some things to be grateful for. It really does go a long way. And trying to look at the positive side to the situations that are coming in. Not always easy to do, but with Jupiter so present right now, it will help. Okay, now let's talk about where you can set these intentions, what areas of life, what house this new moon will take place in for you by your rising sign, okay? You can certainly listen to your sun sign and your moon sign, even if you know all of these placements. If you don't know what I'm referring to with these placements, don't panic. There's a link below for a quick tutorial on how you can pull up your birth chart and see this very fast, and it's free, and then that way you can follow along. It is very beneficial to learn your big 3, especially, because they are an integral piece to your psycho-spiritual makeup, to your personality, and to your trajectory in this lifetime. Okay, Aries rising. For you, this new moon will take place in your 9th house. Now, this is significant for everybody, but for Aries rising, this is significant for you because you are a fire sign, a fellow fire sign like Sagittarius, and this new moon takes place for you in the 9th house, which is the natural house that's ruled by Sagittarius and Jupiter, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So, as a fire sign, you are somebody who is not afraid to take action, although Aries rising tends to have to work a little harder at taking action than an Aries sun, for example. It's a karmic lesson of the Aries rising, because I look at the rising sign like the school that you're a student of for your whole time here on this earth. It is a huge part of your personality. But for Aries rising, this new moon takes place in your 9th house of spirituality, of faith, of optimism, of hope, of long distance travel, of higher education, of teaching, of learning, of truth and justice. So anything that comes up for you in these areas for this new moon, it's a great time to set intentions. So for example, if you are in the middle of a court case and you're waiting for the answer, set some manifestations, set some intentions to get the truth. If you're looking to obtain a degree or a certification in another field, in an additional field, this might be a really great time to set some intentions and put your energy towards going back to school or towards getting a certification. If you've wanted to travel abroad or go long distance, if the energy allows for you, this might be a great time to make some plans for that. Also, because of the strong Jupiter influence, I want to stress for everybody, not just for Aries rising, but for everybody, look at if you feel like you've been wronged in the last year or so, look at how can you forgive, because that forgiveness will also set you free. So if you have been wronged by the system or by somebody else in your life, or somebody trying to get you to believe what they want to believe, just have faith that it will get better and set some intentions. Forgiveness is huge for Aries rising. Okay, for our Taurus rising, this new moon takes place in your 8th house. Okay, the 8th house rules over many things. The 8th house is all about real estate. It's about finances. It's about our taxes, our loans, our debts, emotional, physical, and spiritual debts, as I always say, because the 8th house rules over the deep, intense, psychological stuff that resides within all of us. And so this new moon could have you really looking to poke at and to scour the surface and to get underneath what's been holding you back. What's been holding you back from true intimacy, from true bonding with another, or from even true bonding with the self. There's a really strong emphasis on getting back to self under this new moon energy for Taurus rising. So be sure to set some intentions here to transcend whatever it is that is holding you back. Your intuition will guide you. Now also Taurus rising, these last 2 eclipses were very strong for you because they were on your 1st and 7th house axis, which is all about the self and the others in our lives. It's about our relationships. It's about the way that we view ourselves and put our energy out into the world. And it's also the way that we are with others. So again, lots has probably come up for you the past 6 to 8 months. And so this is a time to allow those lessons to truly settle in and to recognize what needs to be shifted. So set some intentions for that around this new moon. Okay, Gemini rising, this new moon takes place in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, contracts, mutuality, legal agreements. Gemini, you are a mutable sign just like Sagittarius, and in fact, you are the opposite sign to Sagittarius, so we could say you're like the mirror image here. So this is going to be a new moon that features strongly on the relationships in your life. Personal, professional, platonic, all relationships, anybody that you do dealings with on any level. I do feel for the Gemini risings that this is going to be mostly centered around something having to do with the energy about what you're working on, what you're working towards to put out into the world with other people. There's going to be significant partnership dynamics that are highlighted under this new moon, and they do feel pretty positive, but it's very important that you make sure that you are honoring yourself in any agreements and others, okay, and being truthful every single step of the way. Cancer rising, this new moon takes place in your 6th house of your daily habits, your health, your routines, your service to the world. So there's something here about setting the stage, a clean slate for the next 6 months, about cleaning something up in your life that you've been wanting to clean up, that you have felt very attached to and been scared to release for some reason. It's a habit or a crutch of some sort, whether that be a person, whether that be a food, because we are dealing with the 6th house, which is all about our health and our healing. Whether that's on the emotional level, the physical level, the spiritual level. There's something here that has become toxic to your spirit, Cancer rising. And this is a great new moon to get real about how you wish to transcend that and shift that karma for yourself, because you know that it isn't working. Leo rising, this new moon takes place in your 5th house of children, of fun, of creative projects, of pleasure, of sex, of love. That's the 5th house. So this is a very creative new moon for you. You're also a fire sign like Leo and, oh no, you are Leo. You're also a fire sign like Aries and like Sagittarius. This is a Sagittarius new moon. So you're getting a lot of help from the fire energy here. Just be careful not to overdo it, because I do feel like for the Leos, we can tend to have too much fun under this energy. So it's really important to look at your creative outlets. Look at the ways in which you have fun. Look at the way you have fun with the children in your life. Look at the way you act like a child. Do you allow yourself time to play? This is definitely a new moon to set some positive intentions about how to bring more joy into your life. The 5th house is also joy. This is the natural space for Leo. Leo rules the 5th house. The sun rules the 5th house. So there's something very bright and optimistic about this new moon for you. For everybody, but more so for you, Leo rising. Virgo rising, this new moon takes place in your 4th house of home and family dynamics and childhood. It's our emotional and physical security. It's our most internal private space. So you may actually find yourself very emotional under this new moon, but also very emotionally driven to correct something that is bothering you, especially if it's involving your family dynamics. This is a great time, for example, to make amends with a family member or someone who's like family, okay? It doesn't have to be so literal, because the 4th house is also our chosen family. So if you've been at odds with somebody in your family, this might be a great new moon to make amends if you wish to do so. It could also be a good new moon to cut ties finally if you wish to do so. if that's where the energy goes for you. But it's also a great new moon to do home improvements, for example, or office improvements. There's something here about making your environment more cohesive for you, making your environment more pleasing to you, especially if you work from home. It's very important. Virgos can get very stuck in their ways and very regimented. But you are a mutable sign, so you will shake it up where necessary. The mutability around this new moon could really help you out to shake you out of that rut. So definitely set some intentions if you're wanting to change things up, but have felt stuck. You'll likely feel unstuck under this new moon energy. Libra rising, this new moon takes place in your third house of communication, communicative projects. It's also the house of our siblings, our cousins, short distance travel, our community. So maybe there's a new community fundraiser that you want to start up. This is a great new moon to do that. Perhaps a food drive or a food bank. The holidays are coming. Charity work. A lot of Libra risings can find themselves really drawn towards charity work under this time. Remember, we're also under this Jupiter energy, which is making us feel that much more benevolent, that much more compassionate, especially to those less fortunate. So if you are a Libra rising, you just may find yourself teaming up with members of your community to bring something better into the world. Also a great energy for starting that book that you've been wanting to start, or for editing that project that you've had on the back burner. This is going to be a nice stretch of time for new projects, especially when they involve communication. Scorpio rising, this new moon is going to be taking place in your second house. The second house is the house of our personal finances. It's also the house of our self-worth, of what we value, of what's tangible for us, what's in front of our face, right? Because the second house is the house of Taurus, and it's the house of earthly treasures. It's also a very sensual house. And like Taurus, you've been very impacted by these last eclipses because you are the sign that the South Node is in, that's really pushing down on you to release all of the toxicity, mind, body, and spirit, to release what isn't working for you, to release what isn't serving your soul. And that is not easy. But the more you do that and the more you lean into it, the more you find your self-worth, the more you increase your self-value. That's the second house. That's where this new moon is. So really take this time to reflect upon all of the changes and all of the blessings that have come out of that for you, Scorpio rising. And when it comes to your money, to your real estate, this is a really good time to set some intentions about working towards where you want to go next. Just be careful not to be too frivolous with your money at this time because we are dealing with Jupiter and we can go too big. Hey, and if you can go big, by all means go big, right? But if you know that you can't right now, focus more on the self-value, self-worth without having that be something of monetary value. Because this energy reminds us that the richness is really in the soul first. Capricorn rising, this new moon is going to take place in your 12th house. Okay, this is the behind the scenes space, the psychological dungeon, so to speak, but it houses many treasures and it houses many gifts. So lean into this energy. This is really great for you if you wanted to do some spiritual work, some psychic work, if you wanted to go and visit a psychic, have a spiritual reading of some kind, explore the depths of your spirituality. This is a great new moon for you to do that. You likely will want to do that in secret anyway, and the 12th house does tend to be more private. So if you are feeling a little bit more introverted or like you're not as social and you just don't really want to be out with groups of people, just know that that's the energy and use the time to reflect and set some intentions, because when we get into your season, Capricorn, you're going to feel catapulted out of that space and you're going to feel much more forward. So you're not going to be really feeling the fire of this fire energy, but you can absolutely reap the benefits from a self level, from a soul level, by going inward. Aquarius rising, this new moon takes place in your 11th house of community and humanity and the collective. It's the house of our friendships and our groups, the groups that we're a part of. It's the collective experience. Aquarius rules the 11th house, so this is a natural space for you to be. Much like Libra rising, this is a great new moon for getting something started, for getting together with a group of people with a like-minded cause, okay? Similar mindset. Think back to, charity events, food banks, doing something to serve humanity, to serve the collective. You're going to be very motivated and motivating under these energies, so use them wisely if you're an Aquarius rising. And be sure to take time to connect with your friends near and far, because there's a very strong element of connection under this energy for you if you're Aquarius. If you've been in your own world these last few months, which if you're Aquarian, you probably have been because of all the fixed energies that we've been dealing with. Anyway, with the eclipses and all of that, now is the time to come back out of your shell and reconnect. 'Tis the season. Pisces rising, this new moon takes place in your 10th house of your career, your public image, your reputation, the legacy, your legacy, what you wish to leave behind when you leave this world, what you wish to work towards and still put out into the world, into the universe. This is all about your status. Great energy to put towards getting a new job, for example, starting a new project, a new endeavor, even a new business. Jupiter is your ruling planet along with Neptune, and they're both in a really good position at this new moon. Think about it, the 10th house is at the tippy top of the chart, okay? So you're elevated right now, Pisces rising. Trust your intuition and go forward fearlessly. Set some intentions under this new moon. You are also a mutable sign like Sagittarius, so you will benefit from this energy as well. Just make sure you're taking time to get some extra rest because you may feel really tired. Okay, so that is all 12 signs and where this new moon takes place for you. I hope that this has helped you. Please be sure to subscribe to my free newsletter at lisasalvatore.com. I send out weekly detailed energy astrology reports, and you can also keep up with group events and classes. lisasalvatore.com. Again, that's linked below. You can find all of my social media info there as well. And I will be adding more consultations, both individual and groups, as the rest of the year progresses, as time allows. So be sure to check back periodically. Take really good care of yourselves. Have a wonderful new moon. Enjoy the energy. Live in a space of gratitude each and every single day. Reach out to those in need and also reach out when you are in need. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving to those that celebrate and have a wonderful rest of your month.